Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We're always on the lookout for companies making waves
Oh, yeah.
in the market, and today
Definitely.
we've got one that's really caught our eye. Quantum BioPharma,
Interesting.
ticker symbol QNTM.
Okay.
Now, if you were watching the market this past Tuesday, February 4th, you might have seen QNTM's stock take off. We're talking a surge of nearly 70%.
Yeah.
So what exactly is fueling this rocket ride?
Well, QNTM has this intriguing product that's generating a lot of buzz,
Really?
literally.
Okay.
But they're also a relatively small company with some interesting financial details.
Interesting.
They even have a dual listing on Upstream,
Oh, wow.
which is a move often aimed at attracting more investors and better reflecting a company's value.
Okay, so let's break this down for our listeners.
Sure.
Their enterprise value is sitting at $1,022,145 with total assets around $17,474,828
Okay.
and liabilities at $4,565,566. That gives them a positive working capital of $6,519,739.
Right.
But those profitability numbers,
Yeah.
those are raising some eyebrows, right?
Right. That pre-tax profit margin of netted for 43,405.8% is a bit of a red flag.
Wow.
It basically means they're spending a whole lot more than they're making,
Yeah.
which can be a risky strategy.
Oh, for sure.
And if we look at their price-to-earnings ratio, or PE ratio over the past 5 years,
Right.
it's been at -0.56.
Hmm.
This suggests that, at least historically, they haven't been turning a profit.
So some potential concerns there, but let's get back to that incredible stock surge on February 4th.
Yeah,
Almost 70% in a single day.
I know. It's crazy.
What do you think is driving that kind of excitement?
That surge is directly linked to some very promising clinical trial results for their new product, a dietary supplement called Unbuzzed.
Unbuzzed.
Right.
Interesting name. What exactly does it do?
Imagine you're out with friends enjoying a few drinks,
Okay.
but you want to stay in control and avoid that next day hangover.
Yeah.
Unbuzzed helps you do just that. It's designed to reduce your blood alcohol concentration, or BAC, significantly within just 30 minutes.
Okay.
It also helps lessen the feeling of intoxication,
Right.
and as I mentioned, can even combat hangovers.
Interesting.
What's really impressive is that the trial showed no adverse side effects.
That's pretty remarkable. In a world where responsible drinking is becoming more and more important,
Uh-huh.
a product like Unbuzzed could really be a game changer, couldn't it?
Absolutely, but it's important to note that QNTM's stock can be quite volatile.
Oh, really?
This is largely due to its low float, meaning there are only about 1.83 million shares available for trading.
Wow.
When you combine that with a relatively small market capitalization,
Right.
you have a situation where even small changes in buying or selling can cause big price swings.
That makes sense. So for potential investors, it seems like there's a lot of potential for both reward and risk with QNTM.
For sure.
Speaking of things that could impact their stock price, they have their next earnings report coming out on March 27th.
Oh.
The current forecast for earnings per share, or EPS, is negative $0.80. Now, if we compare that to their previous earnings report back on November 11th, 2024,
Right.
where they reported an EPS of negative $4.37,
Yeah.
that's a pretty big difference, isn't it?
It is, and that difference is something investors will definitely be watching closely.
Yeah.
Of course, earnings reports are just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to evaluating a company.
Of course.
We also need to look at the technical analysis.
Right, so let's delve into those technicals for a moment.
Okay.
Currently, QNTM is trading at $2.97 per share, but their 50-day moving average, or 50-day SMA, is higher at $3.92.
Okay.
This tells us that on average, the stock has been trading above its current price over the past 50 days.
Right.
Their 14-day relative strength index, or 14-day RSI, is sitting at 26.47. The RSI is a momentum indicator,
Yeah.
and a reading below 30 is often considered oversold. This could be a sign that the stock is undervalued, or it could mean that the recent price surge was just a temporary blip. Adding to that, they've had volatility of about 9.86% over the last 30 days.
Wow.
This means the stock price has been bouncing around quite a bit, which can make it harder to predict where it's headed next.
Yeah.
Interestingly, despite that big price jump on February 4th, the current market sentiment is actually bearish,
Really?
meaning investors are generally pessimistic about the stock. The Fear and Greed Index, which gauges market sentiment, is at 39 for QNTM, which puts it firmly in fear territory.
Okay.
So we've got this interesting mix of positive and negative signals.
Yeah.
The clinical trial success and the stock surge are definitely exciting. But then we have the bearish sentiment, the low RSI, and the potential for the stock to be overvalued.
Definitely a lot to consider.
It's a lot for investors to consider.
It really is, and this is where doing your due diligence becomes crucial.
Yeah.
We can't just get swept up in the excitement of a new product or a sudden stock surge.
Right.
We need to understand the company's financials, their strategy, and the potential risks involved.
Absolutely. It's all about getting the full picture. What do you think are some of the key questions investors should be asking themselves about QNTM right now?
Wow. Well, one of the biggest questions is, can QNTM really deliver on the promise of Unbuzzed? It's a great concept, but taking a product from successful clinical trials to widespread market adoption is a whole other challenge.
Yeah.
They'll need to scale up production, secure distribution channels, and build a strong brand, and all of that takes time and money.
You mentioned money. We talked earlier about some of those red flags in their financials.
Yeah.
They're spending a lot, but not making much profit yet.
Right.
What else should investors be looking at when it comes to their financial health?
It's important to look beyond just the revenue numbers and dig deeper into the balance sheet.
Okay.
For example, it turns out that their total assets actually decreased by a significant amount between 2023 and 2024.
Oh, really?
Back in March of 2024, their total assets were reported at $25,423,000.
Okay.
But by the end of 2024, that number had dropped to just over $17 million.
Wow. That's a pretty big drop.
It is.
And it's especially interesting considering their revenue was actually increasing during that same period. What could explain that kind of discrepancy?
It's hard to say for sure without more detailed financial information,
Right.
but it could be that they made some large investments or expenditures that ate into their assets.
Okay.
It could be related to research and development for Unbuzzed, expanding their operations, or even acquiring other companies. These aren't necessarily bad things,
Right.
but it's something investors need to understand.
It definitely raises some questions about how they're managing their resources.
Yep.
It reminds us that successful investing is about looking at the whole picture, not just getting caught up in the hype of a new product or a sudden stock surge.
Exactly. Informed investors need to look at the company's financials, their products, their management team, the competitive landscape, and even the broader industry trends. Speaking of industry trends, I think it's worth noting that the market for products like Unbuzzed is potentially enormous.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a growing awareness of the importance of responsible drinking.
Definitely.
And more people are looking for ways to enjoy alcohol without the negative consequences.
That's a really good point. If QNTM can tap into that market and position Unbuzzed as a go-to solution for those seeking a more mindful approach to alcohol consumption, they could be looking at some serious growth potential. But are there any existing competitors or potential roadblocks they might encounter along the way?
There are always competitors in any growing market.
Right.
There are other companies working on similar products aimed at reducing the negative effects of alcohol. QNTM will need to differentiate themselves,
Okay.
perhaps through their specific formulation, branding, or distribution strategy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It might also face regulatory hurdles or challenges in scaling up production to meet demand. It's a competitive space, and success is never guaranteed.
That's a crucial point for our listeners to keep in mind. Investing in a company like QNTM is not for the faint of heart. It requires careful consideration, thorough research, and a willingness to accept both the potential rewards and the inherent risks.
Absolutely. There's a lot of potential upside with QNTM, especially if Unbuzzed takes off, as some predict. But investors need to go in with their eyes wide open, understand the company's financials, and be comfortable with the volatility that comes with a small cap stock like this.
So for anyone out there considering adding QNTM to their portfolio, our advice is do your homework.
Oh, yeah.
Read those financial reports, research the market for Unbuzzed, and stay informed about the company's progress.
And don't forget to pay close attention to that upcoming earnings report on March 27th.
Yeah, definitely.
It could give us valuable insights into QNTM's financial health and provide clues about their future direction.
It's definitely a company to watch. So
Yeah.
as we start to wrap up our discussion about QNTM, is there one key takeaway you would leave our listeners with today?
I think the main takeaway is that QNTM is a fascinating case study in the world of investing. You've got this potentially groundbreaking product with the potential to disrupt a massive market.
Right.
But you also have some financial uncertainties and a stock that's known to be volatile. It's a reminder that investing is rarely black and white.
Yeah.
It's about weighing the risks and rewards, doing your research, and making informed decisions that align with your personal investment goals and risk tolerance.
That's a great way to put it. Investing is a journey, and QNTM is just one of many potential paths you might choose to explore. Well said. QNTM is certainly a company that will keep us all talking.
Yeah, I think so.
So to our listeners, we want to hear from you.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about QNTM?
Yeah, what do you think?
Will Unbuzzed be the game changer it has the potential to be? Head over to our website or social media pages and let us know your thoughts.
Definitely.
And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Investing Talk Podcast for more discussions like this one.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.